So we have four events we're expecting to be released from Canada this afternoon. CPI, monthly CPI, median CPI yearly, trim CPI yearly, and the common CPI yearly. Let's just take a brief look at what this, at least the first one, is all about. So it says that CPI monthly measures the change in the price of goods and services purchased by consumers, and actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. This data is released monthly, usually on the third Thursday after the month ends. But the important part we need is that the actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So I believe the same will apply to the other data we're expecting from Canada. So by 1:30 p.m., which is just approximately an hour from now, if the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar, then the color will be in green. And that to be good means it came out actual data greater than the forecast. And if it comes out like that and it's a green color, it means we are expecting a bullish movement in the Canadian dollar. And if on the other hand the data comes out bad for the dollar, that is for the Canadian dollar, that is in which instance the actual is less than forecast. It means we'll be expecting a bearish movement in the Canadian dollar. Now, there are four events here. It's possible we may have a scenario of maybe one of them where actual may be equal to forecast. Now, if we have actual equal to forecast, that's more like a neutral event. We don't expect much volatility in that instance. You know, what I'm saying is a scenario where maybe we have three good or bad for the Canadian dollar, and one is actual equal to forecast, which will be a color black, 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 black all through. And the other scenario is the possibility we may have some of the data may conflict, where some may be good for the Canadian dollar and the other may be bad for the Canadian dollar simultaneously. That may lead us to a spike. But I'm going to flip over now to the charts to have a clearer picture of what to expect this afternoon from Canada. I'll be looking at the Canadian, the CAD JPY and CAD CHF. All right, so this is CAD CHF. From the weekly time frame, we can see the market has been on a massive downtrend for a very long time. Since 2022, market has been on a downtrend. We experienced some retracement here, further bearish movements, some retracement, further bearish movements. So we are still generally on a downtrend on CAD CHF. And this has been sustained since 2022, almost 3 years consistently. This instrument has been on a massive downtrend. And not only that, now this is a weekly time frame. Not only that, the candle that closed last week closed as a rejection candle on a support turned resistance level. So technically, we're looking for a continuation in the bearish direction on the CAD CHF. Now, if we flip down to the 4-hour, we can see there's the rising wedge, which also is an indication of a bearish movement. But price is currently trading around a support zone on the 4-hour time frame. Now, if price is unable to break this support zone, we may have, some bullish movement on the CAD CHF. So by 1:30 p.m., if the data comes out bad for the Canadian dollar, that will trigger a long-term bearish movement on the Canadian dollar, which is in line with the current analysis we are seeing from the weekly time frame. That is if the data or the price is able to break this current support zone. And that means the data is bad. If it comes out bad for the Canadian dollar, you should expect a massive bearish movement on the CAD CHF. Now, if on the other hand, the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar, price will go back to retest this previous resistance from the weekly time frame, and it may still eventually drop downwards. But at the moment, we want to hold on to a bearish outlook on the CAD CHF because that is what we can see from the technical outlook on the weekly time frame. But then, on a short-term basis, we may also look for a buy if the data comes out good for the Canadian dollar. So we hold a short-term buy and a long-term That's my outlook for the news we're expecting by 1:30 p.m. But then there are a few other, instruments I want to just show us that may break out maybe in the course of today, either as an intraday setup or as a swing setup. And the next I'll show us is the BTC USD. Now we can see BTC USD is trading around a resistance level on the daily time frame. You can see we have a perfect resistance there. We equally have a rising wedge pattern, which is forming at the moment, and it's very valid on the 4-hour. So this is a swing setup. If price is able to break out below the trend line, below the support zone, that will trigger a massive bearish movement on the BTC USD. So I want us to watch this closely in the course of today and even beyond today in the course of this week, because it's a swing setup. And finally, we want to take a look at gold. Sometime last week, I gave a bullish outlook on gold, where we can see price has been trending up. And I remember telling us on Thursday that price will go bullish, at least to hit this support on resistance level. And if it hits it and the volatility is strong, it may break beyond it. Price may break above it and go and hit this other major resistance zone on the daily time frame. Now, price already hit that support turn resistance zone that I mentioned. But then the next move of gold is this. If we flip down to the 4-hour time frame, we can clearly see that price is forming an inverse head and shoulder pattern. This is where the breakout ought to have happened. But there was no sufficient volatility in the market yesterday to drive the price up. If volatility resumes in the market today, well, we may see price break out above this neckline region and target the upper zone over there. So technically, we're bullish on gold. Now, don't forget this is a swing setup, so you should use swing trading plan to trade this particular setup, meaning practice adequate risk management depending on your account balance. So we're bullish on gold. We are bearish on CAD JPY on the CAD CHF on the long term, but on the short term, we may be bullish depending on the outcome of the news. And also we're bearish on BTC USD. That is equally a swing setup. It may require you to have some measure of patience for the trade to trigger. All right, that'll be all from my end this afternoon. I've analyzed 3 instruments for us. I've analyzed the CAD CHF ahead of the Canadian CPI news that's coming up by 1:30 p.m. I've analyzed BTC USD, where I said we're bearish, and gold, where we are bullish on 4-hour. So that'll be all from my analysis this afternoon. Do trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, sir. Thank you.